Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Take Action News on We Act Radio. This is Daniel Marin sitting in the host chair right now this hour. We've got a great hour coming up right ahead of us. We're going to be talking about the Oscars. Did Seth MacFarlane, the host, go too far in making fun of women's bodies? I'm talking about that with Shauna Thomas, who's in studio with us. She is the executive director and co-founder of Ultraviolet, which is a group that fights for women's rights and really all progressive issues. She's also a veteran progressive activist and lobbyist. We're also going to be talking about a press conference that Jay Carney did, the president's press secretary, this week. He really couldn't answer the questions that well about whether, as the New York Times reported, a $500,000 donation to Organizing for America would buy access to the president on a quarterly basis. Does money in politics matter as much as we say? And is Jay Carney a shining example of that? He was the Washington bureau chief of Time magazine, then switched over to the other side, in some ways trading access as a reporter for access into the White House. It's an interesting topic. And of course, at 1:30, we're also going to be going through a petition that's making waves in the progressive community, and that is a petition started by Sean Kitchen of Raging Chicken Press on Credo Mobile. Sean is asking MSNBC to disclose that MSNBC political analyst and former governor of Pennsylvania, Ed Rendell, is also the co-chair of billionaire AstroTurf group Fix the Debt, which is fighting to cut Social Security and Medicare benefits. He goes on MSNBC regularly advocating that position. We'll talk about whether MSNBC should actually make that clear to viewers and make that apparent. David Shuster, our veteran former MSNBC correspondent, is going to weigh in on that. And then finally, closing off the hour, we're going to be talking to young up-and-coming conservative Fran Chambers, the editor of Red Alert Politics, about the future of the Republican Party and whether turning Chris Christie away from CPAC was a good move. I'm going to get her take. That's going to be interesting. That's going to get heated. She's going to want to stick around for that. But first, wanted to start off talking with our guest in studio here, Shauna Thomas, who I'm looking at through my studio window, but we have to, the way our Hangout situation works, I'm just going to be looking straight at the camera. Shauna, thanks for joining us on Take Action News. Well, we're going to have to, Shauna's still working out the kinks here. We're going to have to unmute at the top right corner there where there's a microphone, if you just click that off. But there was big news this week in that sanity finally prevailed in Congress. I think that's fair to essentially say. And the bar just keeps getting lower. So I'm happy to report a success, which is that the Violence Against Women Act was finally reauthorized, voted into law. Protections were expanded to lesbians and gay people and transgender women in particular, women on American Indian reservations, and also undocumented immigrant women. Shauna, I want to call this a progressive victory, but I almost think that it's a loss that it had to be a fight at all. Is that fair to say? All right, well, we're having some technical difficulties right now hearing Shauna here, but I just want to make sure that everything is everyone's clear on what exactly this is. This is a law that has passed Congress after Congress, essentially some version of it since 1994, giving the Department of Justice funding to pursue specifically domestic cases, and it has traditionally never encountered partisan objection. It's not something that ever any Republican Congress ever saw fit to object to. Of course, right. This Republican Congress is really a Congress that has broken a lot of records in that regard. Shauna, quickly before we have to, our syndicated stations join us in a couple of minutes, I just want to get your take on this. I was just saying that it's a progressive victory, it's a democratic victory, and it's a victory for women. It's a victory for all people and all victims of abuse, but it's a really low bar to say that we even had to fight for this.
I completely agree. Look, since it first passed 20 years ago, every time it's been up for reauthorization, it's passed unanimously, as in 0 people have voted against it. Why this year was different is not, I mean, it depends on who you ask. Some people say it's because we are expanding it, but the fact is every time it's been up for reauthorization, it's been expanded. But, Republicans are apparently, dead set on cementing conventional wisdom about them, which is that they just are not on the side of women, frankly. And they were they felt very comfortable arguing for months last session and into part of this session of Congress, arguing that some women just don't deserve protection from abuse. It is the case that leadership finally, because of this really, massive sort of public outcry, and because of Republicans inside, their own party pressuring leadership to finally put this up to a vote, they did it. But the fact is that 138 of them still voted no.
I have to leave it there before a syndicated station joins, but that's absolutely right. They've got us fighting over sideshows, wasting our energy and resources on that. We're going to wait as our syndicated stations join us in Chicago, Columbus, Grand Rapids, and parts of Oklahoma in just a few seconds. You're listening and watching to Take Action News. You can watch us live right now until 3 p.m. on takeactionnews.com.